Get your money, don't care who judge. Stay out the way, surround yourself with nothing but love. Stay out the way, if you a gangster, killer or thug. Stay out the way, put your faith in the man above. Stay out the way, chill with your family, siblings and blood. Stay out the way, kick it with your girl, forget hit in the club. Stay out the way, mind on your money, ain't no switching it up. Stay out the way, stand out the way, what you thought that it was. Stay out the way. If you stuck down on your luck, not feeling righteous, did a petty crime, just looking for some excitement. Now your name on affidavits and court indictments, get paid for a lot, but your freedom is priceless. You did the crime, you do the time, don't let it surprise you. Real stories from the heart, just to open your eyes up.
Part 3, gang, yo, let's get it, y'all. Part 3, gang, yo, let's get it. Like, shots, let's get it. Let's go. Man, that joke was crazy, man. He was like, man, that's my word, Wiz. I was selling him all this chicken. Go ask him. Call him up here. I was like, I just was looking stupid, y'all. I ain't even gonna lie. I was like, so you want to rent the freak book out to him? He was like, man, look, man, I don't care about no freak book, Weezy, man. I like to hustle, bro. I was like, man, look, bro, you got that book, bro. He was like, man, listen, I do not have that book, Weezy. What I'm gonna do with that book? I ain't even know he had the book. I'm just sitting there looking like, I felt stupid. But this was something that I did my homework on and it was wrong. I thought he really was making a play with the book. And I did this to this guy, man. I felt bad, y'all. Like, I was just standing there and B was like, B had the dumb look on his face. B was like, hey, man, that's my fault, man. That's my fault. I'm gonna be the first to admit, bro. That's my fault, man. That's my fault, man. He was like, yeah, man. B was like, that's why I ain't punch you, bro. I just threw you in the door. He was like, yeah, well, that hurt too. Yeah, that's crazy. Y'all came in here to beat me up, man. I was like, nah, bro. Like, we needed that book. He was like, man, Weezy, look, that's word on my mama. I do not have that book, Weezy. I didn't even know about the book. He was like, I don't know nothing about no book, Weezy. You want to search my cell? You can search my cell. I was like, nah, I ain't gonna search your cell, bro. I was like, bro, my bad, bro. I was like, bro, I hit you, you hit me, bro. We rumbled. He was like, yeah, but you hit me first. I was like, so what you want to fight, bro? I said, because look, bro, we can get it out of the way if you want to fight, bro. I said, I told him I'm sorry. Like, I felt stupid. I felt so stupid, like, to the point where my energy and my attention on what I'm supposed to be thinking about now wasn't even on Luke. I wasn't even thinking that yet because I was in a predicament. I just fought somebody over something that he was innocent about. And I never done this before. I never done this to a person before. So like if you ever have to go through this, like when you go get physical with somebody about something that he was innocent about, and you find out he's innocent, like you'll be thinking like this is the worst thing you ever done, because like me and bro was in there ready to take him to the bank game crazy, man. So like I just felt super stupid and felt wrong, man. So I'm trying to talk to bro, and like thank God that he was one of those dudes that kind of like didn't want to take it to a whole nother level, because I was definitely wrong. If he would have took it to a whole nother level, I deserved it, because I put hands on somebody and then he thought that somebody that really thought he was innocent. So bro explained all that, man. He was like, man, look, man, we good. He was like, look, we good, bro. I know what you're going through. Your roommate got pressure on you, so you feel like you gotta have pressure on whoever. You gotta have pressure on whoever was in the room. So look, I get it. He was like, I know you rock with B, and I know B rock with Lou, and they cool. He was like, well, look, I ain't do it. He said either Lou did it, or B did it, or your roommate replaced it, or you did it, Weezy. He said, because I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I was like, we good, man. I docked him up and dipped out, y'all. So boom. Went back up the steps like this, man. My step walk was stupid, man. I was like, this John crazy, man. I was like, this, you know what I'm thinking, bro? You wildin', man. I was like, I go back in the room. My roommate was on the balcony. He was like, what's up? What happened? Y'all beat him down. I was like, yeah, we rumbled, bro. But I was like, man, say word, though, that I thought he was renting the book out to the white boy. I was like, man, he sold the white boy some Hottie's chicken, man. I was like, well, never no book, bro. I was like, man, ain't got no book, man. I was like, I believe him, man. He was like, I said, yo. I said, Jerome, you sure you ain't misplaced the book? No, man. I said, because I didn't see it. I saw the books. I was like, but you sure you ain't misplaced it, though, man? I was like, because for real, man, like this junk, it's boiling down to none of my company probably stole this junk, man. He was like, nah. One of your company did steal it. He was like, somebody stole it. And somebody real clever and real good with this too. He said, somebody did it though. I said, man, look, don't get me wrong. I said, now Lou, he was like, nah, I ain't never say Lou did it. He said, man, the other dude, the only one, he said, Lou done been in his cell. He said, I done came back from work and Lou in his cell. I said, yeah. I said, bro, Lou and B, they done been in his cell. I said, that's why I fell on dude. He was like, look. He was like, nah, look, man. He was like, man, for real. He was like I rock with Lou. I rock with everybody, man. He was like, man, but somebody stole it. Somebody stole it. You know what I'm saying? You say, bro, ain't steal it. then it gotta be B or do. I was like, man, B ain't do it. I was like, man, damn, don't get me wrong. I said, now Lou be willing. I said, man, like, for real, man, Lou was a liar, man. Like Lion Lou. Like we wanted a nickname, we could call him Lion Lou. I said, he's a liar. I said, but he just be lying about stuff he did on the street. I said, when it comes to about being honorable with us, like he ain't never really came that way. He was like, man, once a liar, always a liar, man. Like he was like, everybody lie. He was like, but you know, like if he gonna lie about something on the street, he'll lie about anything. I said, bro, well, he put it on his kids. I said, I seen him in the video room. He was like, so what? Seeing him in the visiting room got to do with anything with his kids. I was like, nah, I just felt like that's the only thing he really honorable to. So I was like, he put it on his kids. He was like, man, listen, I done put stuff on my kids before in live reason, man. He was like, that stuff do not matter, bro. It don't matter. I started thinking back. I was like, remember I told you I had a baby mama and I had a 7-year-old? He was like, yeah. I was like, remember I told you I ain't had no pictures? He was like, yeah. I was like, I was welling, man. We was having a confession welling party, y'all. So boom. That junk was crazy, man. So we tripped. I kind of, you know, like got the bad tension out the cell. We laughed for a second. He was like, yo, like for real, one of them stole it. He was like, man, it's gonna come up though. I ain't tripping. Something gonna happen. Somebody gonna mess up. It's gonna happen, bro. I was like, man, I still feel bad. I said, but if it don't though, how much I gotta pay you, man, to kind of get this situation, man, out of the way? I said, because if somebody stole it, man, I just ain't gonna let nobody in the cell no more, bro. I'm just gonna be responsible. He was like, man, look, we'll cross that bridge when we have to. He was like, in the meantime, let's just see what's gonna come up. Let's just see what's gonna come up. So I'm like, y'all, we just gonna wait patient. So come back out the next day, man. So when I came out, I seen my homeboy that's in 2D that I rock with, man. When he seen me, he was like, man, I ain't seen you in a minute. He was like, what's up? You don't want no Lala? He was like, bro, I had the Lala since Sunday. I'm like, bro, look, man, I was getting Lala from doing the pod. I was like, yeah, though, man, what you got? He was like, man, I got this, I got that. I was like, I'm trying to spend this, I'm trying to spend that. He was like, all right, bet. So when he came outside, he was like, yeah, man. He was like, man, what y'all got going on over there? I was like, man, we chilling. I was like, but like somebody stole something out my cell, man. Somebody that I rock with, man, too. I said, it only could have been them. I said, it was my roommate items. So like, it just feel crazy. Like, it's just like, I can't get to the bottom of it. He was like, man, that junk crazy, man. He was like, man, but here though, you know what I mean? He gave me the Lala. I dipped back in the pod. So when I come back in the pod, I was like, you know what? The plan used to always be go to my cell and mess with the Lala. I was like, but we about to change the playbook. I seen B. I was like, yo, B, hey, grab 2 feces right quick. He was like, what's up? I'm like, about to mess with this Lala right quick. He was like, where we going? I was like, we're going to Lou's cell. So I seen Lou standing over by his cell. So I walk over to John like, what's up, man? You trying to mess with the Lala? He was like, of course I'm trying to mess with the Lala. You got some? I was like, yeah. I was like, let's go in your cell though. He was like, my cell in there. I said, man, tell him you trying to mess with the Lala. He was like a quick thought about it. He was like, hey, sell it. Hey, look, let us get in there right quick. All right, I'm about to get the door. So he went and got the door, and B pulled up. I was like, yeah, we about to go in here. So the door opened up. He's still coming back from by the booth. I just walked in his joint. Quick scan game. Y'all like, my Jay going through the bed. I was like, this one's bottom on. He come back in. He was like, what's up? Get the door closed. He turned around to get the door closed and wait for the lady to close the door. I got another quick scan. I was like, I went under there by his shoes. I was like, looked around some more. He got door closed. Boom. Door closed. He was like, yeah, man. He's like, man, all this madness that's going on. We got a thief in the pod. And we ain't even get a chance to mess with no Lala like we used to. I'm like, man, junk crazy, man. I was like, man, somebody stole that junk, though, man. I just can't believe somebody just gonna disrespect me like that, though, man. I've been in people's cells, you know what I mean? Like, I done did all this. Like, I'm like, they wildin', man. Like, y'all tripping, man. Like, I can't believe one of y'all did me like this. And he was like, man, we ain't do it. Like, dude did it. Dude was like, man, dude did that junk, man. I was like, why you think he did it? He was like, because he the only one that it happened when he came in the cell. I'm like, yeah, you got a point, man. I was like, man, but look, we done went in there and fought that man and everything. I said, that man said he ain't do it, man. You know what I mean? So he was like, yeah, I know. I said, so that only leaves you, Lou. I started hitting the Lala. I'm like, yeah, that only leaves you. He like, leave who? I'm like, you. He was like, man, I ain't do that. I was like, no, I'm joking with you, bro. I was like, somebody did something, though. I said, somebody did. He said, man, listen, man, that's one of my kids, Weezy, man. He was like, I told your seller. I told your seller again. He said, man, I told him, man, I'll swear on a stack of Bibles. When he said that, I'm like, on a stack of Bibles? I'm like, this man just didn't tell me he will swear on a stack of Bibles, man. Like, how you gonna tell a convict to swear on a stack of Bibles when we live in a Welling world, y'all? So boom. I'm like, man, you can't text nobody word. Like, but B ain't do it. You know what I mean? B ain't do this junk, though. But I'm just like, that junk crazy, though, man. So I'm like, man. I'm like, yeah, you right, bro. I'm like, man, but at the end of the day, I'm like, yo, bro, I'm just trying to get past this, bro. I'm ready to straighten it. I'm like, I just ain't letting nobody come in my room no more, bro. Like, I can't be responsible for nobody's stuff. I said, I could have seen if my stuff got taken, which would have still been messed up. I said, but I can't be responsible for like, my roommate's stuff getting taken. I said, I feel bad about this, man. So we all laugh and joke, whatever the case. Hit the feezy, like, you know, B was like, man, look, somebody stole it and that's that. B was like, yo, I ain't never been a thief. I ain't never been my rap shit. He was like, you can ask anybody when I was growing up. Like, I don't steal. I was like, man, that joke crazy. Like, everybody was claiming innocence, you know what I mean? Like, I still couldn't blame nobody. It was nobody to be blamed yet, you know what I mean? So when I looked, as I was hitting the la-la, like when I did look, I seen like under his bed a little bit, it was like a bag of food, and I saw it. And I remember it's like where I'm sitting at on the box, it's like right in front of me, because it's like he slept on the bottom bunk, but he had like his box cracked to the side. Like it's only supposed to be room for 4 boxes unless you push it out a little bit more, then it'll leave you a little space. So I'm sitting on the box, and I'm hitting the la-la, and I look, I seen the bag. It was a nice laundry bag full of like, it was like separate stuff. And I remember seeing it right there. So I see it, I'm like, man, I see his selly stuff. They like, man, I was like, bro, y'all full up in here too, man. He was like, man, you know, I be hustling, like, you know, that's what I be doing. I'm like, yeah, you right. I was like, bro, you right, man. I was like, man, I gotta get back to that. I gotta get me some money, man. I was like, man, all this stuff happening, man. I said, stuff boring, man. I said, because all this going on. So B was like, man, you right. It ain't even fun with the la-la no more. So after the la-la was over with, everybody dipped out. So I go back to my cell, man, and I just start thinking, I'm like, man, did B do it? Like I was like, man, because B is the only one that's really protected, because like, I just really believe he didn't do it. Like he's carrying that like it's a badge of honor. Like he's my number one guy. So like, of course he didn't do it. But I started thinking that B do it. And I started thinking that B do it because I'm like Lou is not this stupid. You know what I mean? Maybe he is, but like still though, I had to check myself. I'm like, nah, B ain't do it. I said, B ain't do it, man. I said, there's only one person that did this. And I just got to get to the bottom of it, y'all, because Lou did it, y'all. So boom, my mind was made up, but I won't change it. Man, I said, Lou did it. I said, Lou did it. I said, I bet anything. I was telling myself, I said, I bet anything. My roommate came back from work. He came in, he was about to get a shower. I said, yo, bro. I said, I figured it out, bro. He said, what? I said, man, Lou did it. He said, how you know Lou did it? I said, man, I said, man, that man had a bag of food. Like he hiding a bag of food. I said, there's nothing wrong with hiding a bag of food. I said, it just looks suspicious. Like he tried to hide it from us before we got his sale. So he was like, what is like a decent amount? I said, yeah, probably like about $60 worth of everything in there. So I was like, it could be more. I'm just like eyeballing the junk. He was like, but that's still don't prove he got the book. I said, yeah, because he be hustling. I said, but look, bro, something telling me that he got this junk, man. I know he got it. He was like, man, just find out. He said, but look, if he find out, he said, I want that nigga to Weezy. I said, no, I want him. He said, no, I want him. He said, I want him. He said, because that nigga put it on his kids in my face. He said, that nigga came in the child hall and seen me, man, and got down, talked me to death and put it on his kids. He said, I meant to tell you that. I said, man, bro, giving off bad vibes. I said, man, I just don't, you know what I mean? I said, like, he a liar though. I said, man, I try to give him the benefit of the doubt. You know what I mean? I said, but he a liar. He a crazy liar. Like all his liars. But bro is a crazy liar, y'all. So boom. He lies more than others. That's what he do, man. He's a lying rug. That's what he is. He's lying Lou. So lying Lou had to do this, man. He the only one told me, I put it on my kids. It's on my kids, bro. I promise. It won't me. I guarantee you it won't me. So I just had to figure out how I was going to find out that this man had this book, man. The first thing I did is pull up on his roommate. I had to talk to his roommate, man. His roommate was a young boy that kind of didn't care about being on the top bunk. He always out in the pod, basketball, playing rec all over the place. Like that's all the young boy wanted to do. The young boy was from Tidewater though. You know what I mean? One from North. But me and him would talk from time to time because he used to like for me to facilitate plays for him to get the la-la. Now that Lou was in the room with him, Lou used to do that now. So like me and him still had a cool friendship. So I remember catching bro. We both by the payphone. He's sitting down on like the shortest phone. Like they got phones that's like the same height that's in the wall. Then they got one that's a little bit down and you can sit down and you can be a little bit more comfortable. Like when you sit down with the tall ones, it'd be slightly uncomfortable, but he's sitting on that phone right there. So I end up sitting down. So when I sit down, he seen me, he was like, what's up, T Weezy? What's good? Like, what's up? I was like, man, let me ask you a question. He was like, what? I said, man, you suddenly got my freak book, man. He was like, freak book? What do you mean freak book? I said, bro, you know somebody stole. He didn't tell you that. He was like, no, he didn't tell me that. I said, well, look, I'm looking for a freak book, man. You know what I mean? I said, somebody stole my roommate freak book, man. I said, you know, I only let them come in the cell. You know what I mean? I said, I done went. He said, that's why you want me to do. I said, yeah, I want to try to fight him. I said, but he was the only one that don't really be in the cell like that. So I felt like he did it. He was like, man, hey, hold on, baby. He was like, yo, that's crazy, Weezy, man. He was like, I ain't know my roommate ain't telling me about all this. I'm like, yeah, bro. I was like, man, somebody actually stole something. I said, I know it won't be. I said, I know it won't be, bro. And I said, I done rumble dudes. I said, it's only gonna be one person who'll sell it. I said, but I ain't blaming nobody, bro. I made sure I threw that right there for he wouldn't get too suspicious. I was like, yeah, but I ain't blaming nobody though, bro. Like, you know what I mean? It is what it is. So he was like, man, I'm gonna holler at you after this though, bro. He's like, that's messed up though, bro. I was like, yeah, it's my people's answer. So I get on the phone. We use the phone. He finished kind of like before me a little bit. So when I get on the phone, I see him standing over there. He's like, he was like, man, but for real, somebody's stealing though, for real like that. I'm like, bro, somebody's stealing, bro, like that, bro. I was like, they stole something that wasn't even mine. I said, that's what make this junk even crazier, bro. I said, they stole something that wasn't even mine, bro. He was like, man, that junk crazy, man. That junk crazy, man. So as he say that, B walked up. When B walked up, was like, yo. He was like, man, let me holler at you right quick, Weezy. I'm like, what's up? He was like, come walk with me. I was like, bro, I'm gonna holler at you. So I dipped on bro. Me and B start walking laps. So me and B walking. He was like, hey, look. He was like, man, for real though. He said, man, I've been thinking though, bro. I was like, what? He's like, I think Lou did that shit for real. I said, why you say that? He said, cuz, man. He said, man, look, I had went to that nigga's cell, man. He said, goddamn, that nigga had to cut up. He told me to come get the 2 suits. He's supposed to be giving the dude in the kitchen, you know what I mean? He's like, I come get the 2 suits. He got the cut up. So he said the cut was up. I didn't know. He said, so when I get to the door, I knock on the door and look. He said the junk was like crack. He said he had something on the top bunk, but he was getting that junk getting some money or something. I'm like, what? He's like, man, that man looked like he had something on the top bunk. He was like looking at it on the top bunk. I said, was it the book though, bro? He was like, man, I don't think it was. I don't know. I don't want to say. He was like, but for real though, as I've been thinking, bro, he was like, it got to be him though. He was like, man, he lied too much, man. A liar got to be a thief. I said, bro, we all lie, man. I said, man, but this nigga had to do that shit, bro. I said, ain't no fucking way, bro. Like, he put it on his kids. Like, I said, man, fuck that shit, man. I said, that right there was the prime. We should have looked at that shit like he was prime suspect, man. I said, we done went and put hands on the other nigga. So got down. B was like, yo, look, man, this word I'm trying to find out, though. I said, oh, I'm on it. I said, I was talking to Selly. He said, what did Selly say? I said, Selly just was like looking clueless, like he didn't even know nothing about the whole incident. You know what I mean? He was like, his roommate ain't tell him. I was like, nah. He said, bro, ain't tell him. He said, bro, ain't telling nothing. So I'm like, I said, man, Lou, wow. I was like, but you know what, though? We don't got the proof, you know what I mean? So lady was like, stand by for child. Stand by for child. Stand by for child. So everybody like, man. So I was like, man, I'm about to go to child. So I go upstairs to get my junk. See my roommate. He was like, what's up? You find anything? I was like, nothing for real. I was like, but for real, I know he did it, though. I said, I just got to find the proof. I said, for real, I got to have him. He was like, no, I got to have. I said, bro, he was my company. He said, no, I got to have him. I gotta have him. Let me have him. I said, bro, look, that's it. We find out. I said, but just chill for a minute. You know what I mean? I said, I'm gonna let you know. He was like, all right. So we go to child. So when we go to child, we was in the line. Me and B just dipped without him. You know what I mean? Like usually, like my mind wasn't even thinking like to keep playing it off like everything was copacetic. But like, and we usually walk the child together. Like we usually walk the child because he'll usually be with B. But this time around, me and B was talking from the prior, from what they call standby for child. Now me and him, when they call exit, we just dipped out. We didn't even wait for bro. So by the time he came there, I know he already seen us about to get our tray. So me and him sit down. So he get his tray. He come to our table. He come to the table and shit. He was like, damn, y'all dipped on me. Why y'all ain't wait for me? I'm like, bro, what you mean? Why ain't wait for y'all? Like, bro, I'm hungry, bro. I'm lying like a bitch. I'm like, bro, I'm hungry. You know what I mean? I was trying to eat. He was like, man, y'all dipped on me, man. He was like, man, I was trying to see what y'all gonna do, man. I was trying to see if y'all was trying to make a meal. I'm like, yeah, I might try to make a meal. I might try to make a meal with my roommate. You know what I mean? When I threw my roommate in the joint like that, he was like, oh, all right, what you gonna do, B? You trying to eat? B was like, no, I'm gonna eat 2 soups tonight. He was like, oh, all right, that's cool. So we ate. So it was a little awkward. Like, you know, like it was hard for me to hide that I'm really angry. Like I'm really kind of like teed off. Like I really want to fight. Like I really want to put hands on this dude, man. This man sitting at the table and he's a full chameleon, y'all. So boom. Cause he's a real thief on the low. And I know he did it. Man, I know he did it, man. I just didn't have the proof, man. So like we ate, went back to the pod. Go back to the pod. We all out the pod. He go get on the phone like he always do. I'm talking about Luke. Me and B still kicking it. We still talking about the joint. So as a little time went on, kind of like just me being kicking it, man. Like after we walked, me and B was walking laps forever. You know what I mean? Come around. I look, I see his roommate. His roommate gave me the signal like follow him to the back. So his roommate was walking past, like we walking laps. We just passed that. We go ahead in the back to go talk about cell 12, what I'm talking about. We walking laps. His roommate walking past me like this. As I walk past, he hit me like this. Like, so I'm like, I see it. So I'm gonna tell B, I'm like, I'm gonna holler at you. So we spend another lap. I was like, B, I'm gonna holler at you. I break off from B and just go straight to the back. When I get my cell 12, I look. His cellular was standing by the back window like this, just looking out the window like he wasn't even looking at me. So I walk back there. I'm like, what's up, bro? He like, hey, look, man, I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. He's like, do that book got Pinky in it? I was like, yeah, it got pink in it, bro. He was like, shh. I said, is it a Don Diva cover? He was like, nah, it ain't no. He said, there ain't no cover. He said, the book don't got no cover. I was like, so what is it? What kind of book? He was like, bro, it got pinky in it. And it got, I was like, bro, it's pinky in the beginning of the book. He was like, yeah, she in the beginning of the book. I said, she got no pink underwear. He was like, yeah. I was like, shh. I said, bro, that's the book, bro. I said, he ripped the cover out. I said, look, where's it at? He was like, man, it's in the sale. I was like, look, yo, you positive? I was like, you positive, man? He was like, yeah. He was like, look, though. He said, man, you should wait. Don't do it now. He was like, don't do it now. He was like, because you're going to get caught. I said, bro, my roommate want to do him dirty, man. I said, but for real though, bro, I want to look him in his eyes and tell him he a piece of garbage, man. Real talk. He was like, man, I ain't even know no rap and stuff like this, bro. He was like, but that's crazy. Like, I look at that, like, that's messed up. If he'll steal from y'all, he'll steal from me. You feel me, Weezy? I'm like, yeah, I feel you, bro. I was like, don't look at this like you did a bad thing, bro. I said, look at this as an honorable thing, bro. I said, because he don't deserve to get away with this, man. I said, this man came in my room, looked me in my face and stole from my celly, man. I said, stealing from my celly is like stealing from me, y'all. So boom. So the jig was up. The jig was up. I went upstairs happy this time. Y'all went upstairs like this. I got upstairs quick. I'm like, hey, bro. I go in and say, he like, what's up? I said, bro, he did it. He said, how you know? I said, look, his roommate told me everything. He was like, what do you mean? I said, bro, his roommate said, is it a book? He said, the book y'all looking for is Pinky in the Joint. My roommate was like, yeah. I said, I told him that. He was like, he said, man, do she got pink underwear? He was like, yeah. He said, man, the man ripped the Don Diva John out. So the Don Diva cover gone. He was like, man, he destroyed the cover, man. He said, that's how I was beating him, man. I was like, shh. That man, sinister, man. I said, man, but look, his roommate said he got it. I said, look, let me go clean him up, bro. I said, he was like, nah. He jumped off the bed. He was like, that's all you heard was heavy feet hitting the ground. He was like, nah, I got him. He grabbed an old Converse. He was like, nah, I got him, bro. He was like, nah. I was like, look, that's the only thing, though. I was like, man, his roommate said we should wait to have to count and shift change. He was like, because we ain't going to get away with it if such and such work. And he was like, he thought a lot. He was like, yeah, he right. He right, though. He was like, but it's a lock. You got the book in there, though. I was like, the book is in there, man. He was like, shh. All right, he dipped out. I mean, when he dipped out, I came out a little bit after him. When I looked, he was standing by cell 26 talking to his homeboy. They was on the railing like this. And you could see him telling his homeboy, like, yeah. I was reading his brain. He was saying, hey, look, man, that cream puff downstairs got my book, man. And I'm going to get that book, man. Then when I get that book, I'm going to demolish this dude, man. So don't let nobody come in there. Don't let nobody jump in. Don't let nobody, not even Weezy and them come in there, man. Because I got to have this dude, y'all. So boom. I read his brain. That's my word. I was like, I said, B. B came up the steps. I was like, yo. I said, he got it. His roommate, he was like, yeah, his roommate told me. I said, his roommate told me he got the book, bro. He got the book. He was like, that's crazy. His roommate dropped it down. I said, bro, he said that if that man would steal from us, people that he rocked with like that, he would steal from him. I said, so you can't even dispute that. That's just real action right there. That's just real action. He was like, you told Jerome? I was like, yeah, Jerome done strapped up. Jerome waiting for shift change. So we all out in the pod. Next thing you know, it's lockdown time. You know what I mean? We locked down. We come in the room, Jerome like, man, I'm gonna beat the brakes off of Weezy. I'm letting you know now. I was like, bro, he deserved it. He deserved it, man. He was like, man, I don't care about no kitchen. I don't care about none of that. He was like, man, that man, the way he did that, I just feel like putting in some work. I ain't gonna lie. I was like, bro, I'll do him dirty. I ain't gonna lie. I said, me and B was gonna do him dirty. I said, well, go ahead though. I said, handle your business. Like, I felt them. Some people, they want to handle their own business, man. You know what I mean? Next thing you know, stand by for Empire Rep. Stand by for Empire Rep. Doors open up. I look, my roommate push out immediately. He go over there and start talking to his homeboy. I look, Lou ran straight to the phone. I see my homeboy B. I see my roommate go over there and talk to his homeboy. Next thing you know, you see him and his homeboy coming up the steps like bad dudes. They got down the stairs, powerful. They get down there, joint. He was like, they seen he was on the phone. He was like, shh. You just see my roommate just keep like, he walking outside like this right by dude's door. He like, shh. I look over at Lou like this on the phone. I know he see him. He like, he trying to read us. He trying to look over there at us. He trying to see what me and goddamn B looking like. We look over at us. I turn my back on him like Goodfellas, y'all. We start talking, looking this direction. I don't want to talk to you no more. I get on the back, pause. I had to, man. That's words. So I see him trying to, you know what I mean? His roommate sitting over there with his homeboys. And I guess his roommate telling dudes like, yo, Weezy and them about to get at my roommate, but I'm going thief. This is back on Sussex too, and stealing is frowned upon. I'm telling you, man, you're gonna get dealt with for stealing. That's why Jerome really wanted him, man. Jerome was one of those kind of older dudes than us, and he wanted to wreck because that man stole. Like, stealing is bad back then. Like, I don't know how it is now. Back then, it was a bad thing. I promise you, man. That man hold the phone up. As soon as he hold the phone up, Jerome was like, hey, yo. Before he could even goddamn dial, like, he's like, hey, let me holler at you right quick. He was like, yo, on the Jerome. He was like, he walked over there. Jerome was like, let me holler at you right quick. I couldn't hear what him and Jerome was saying. Me and bro sitting on the joint over there, like by the table, kind of this way. But the whole time I got my popcorn, y'all like this. Get a D Brown in the damn popcorn. I'm like, this shit crazy. I'm like, what the hell going on? This word. Next thing you know, sale break. Sale break. They start popping doors. You see Jerome, this man walk over there then this man walked over there. So as soon as he got down, the door opened up. For Lou, the door opened up. The door opened up, man. That's all you heard was, man, that's my word. He was in there beating Lou ass. I go to the door and look. His man was right there at the door, like, his man was like, this man was looking at the fight. He was looking back. He was looking like a psycho. He was like, this word, goddamn, my man there beating his ass. Boom, 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 boom. All you could hear it, you could see it. I'm like, oh shit. That nigga Lou was balled up. He was like, get up, nigga. Fuck wrong with you, nigga. What the fuck my shit? Boom, nigga, kicked that nigga hard as a bitch. He was like, fuck my book at. Lou was like, it's under my bed. It's under my bed, man. He was like, you stole my shit. Boom, boom. We just started kicking that nigga. I was like, man, I was about to go on that bitch B. He was like, nah, fuck that Weezy. Let him do that shit. He just started beating that nigga ass. He grabbed a book. He handed it to his homeboy. His homeboy grabbed the book, tucked it. That's my word. Went in that bitch. And his roommate went, his homeboy went in there. And they started beating his ass again. I was like, oh, shit. I'm looking at that jaw. That's all you hear is, fuck wrong with you, stealing, bitch. They beating his ass. Next thing you know, you hear, police coming in that joint. There's word, because they slept behind the steps. But it was like, you can see the commotion over that bitch, man. Police running that bitch. Word, police running that joint, man. They come in that bitch, man, and grab my roommate. I was like, oh, shit. My roommate like, hey, this nigga a fucking thief. Yeah, fuck this nigga. Fuck this nigga, I'm happy to go to the hole. His homeboy took the magazine out, handed it to the old head from where they found. He's like, yo, hold this till we get out. Old head took the book. Took the book, it looked like a magazine. Took. That's my word, they handcuffed him. Took them out when niggas running the joint, checked on Lou. Lou was punished. Man, Lou was punished, man. He paid for that, man. He paid for that mistake. He was punished, y'all. I promise y'all, man. People came in that junk, medical came and got that nigga, took that nigga out, man. Took that nigga out, man. That's my word. That nigga stayed in the hole probably for about 2 months. I ain't seen that nigga for like 2 months. He finally got out of the hole, man. I seen that nigga one day on the yard. Not on the same yard, but I seen that nigga, man. I asked that. I said, yo, I said, why you do that whack ass shit, man? He was like, I don't know. I don't know. I was like, that's your answer. He was like, I don't know, bro. I just left that nigga alone forever. This is my word. He ain't never say nothing to Jerome no more. Jerome went to 4 building, you know what I mean? I think bro went back to 2 building. They whooped his ass. You had to pay for that. So you put it on your damn kids, man. That's my word, man. He should have been the one from the start. But that was my bad for letting that one slip me, man. But he got what he deserved, y'all. Like, period, man. Like, that man stole the fucking book. And it was good that my roommate got the book back. That was the good thing. That was the whole good thing about this story, man. But that was a crazy situation. That's the end of the damn story, though. Man, I appreciate y'all for watching. Y'all already know the count. Stay out the way, man. Your family needs you. They can't do nothing with you if you're in jail, except try to take care of you, and that's backwards. We got to take care of them. That's what we supposed to do. So let's stay out the way, y'all. Period. But y'all already know what it is, man. This is the weekend banger game. So when y'all do this, like, share, subscribe to me, y'all. Let's skip. Let's go. But be safe out there, people, and stay your ass out the way.
Get your money, don't care who judge. Stay out the way, surround yourself with nothing but love. Stay out the way if you a gangster, killer or thug. Stay out the way, put your faith in the man above. Stay out the way, chill with your family, siblings and blood. Stay out the way, kick it with your girl, forget hit in the club. Stay out the way, mind on your money, ain't no switching it up. Stay out the way, stand out the way, what you thought that it was. Stay out the way. If you stuck down on your luck, not feeling righteous, did a petty crime, just looking for some excitement. Now your name on affidavits and court indictments, get paid for a lot, but your freedom is priceless. You did the crime, you do the time, don't let it surprise you. Real stories from the heart, just to open your eyes up.